Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door, only this and nothing more. Distinctly I remembered it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I have sought to borrow from my books surcased of sorrow, sorrow of the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terror never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitors entering entrance at my chamber door, some late visitors entering entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Presently my soul grows stronger, hesitant then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door, darkness there and nothing more. Deep into the darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispering words, 'Lenore.' This I whispered, and echoed murmured back the word, 'Lenore.' Merely this and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon again I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. 'Surely,' said I, 'surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what three it is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. This the wind and nothing more.' Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped the stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obscenes made he, not the minute stopped or stayed he, but with mine of lord or lady, perched over my chamber door, perched upon a bust or palace just above my chamber door, perched and sat and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiled my sad fancy into smiling, but the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. 'Though thy crest be sworn or swaven, thou,' said I, 'art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient raven, wandering from nightly shore. Tell me what thy lord name is on thy night Plutonian shore.' Quoth the raven, 'Nevermore.' Much I marvelled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answers little meaning, little relevance bore. For we can't help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculpturing bust above his chamber door, with such a name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely at the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather that he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, 'Other friends have flown before, on the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before.' Then the bird said, 'Nevermore.' Startled at the stillness broken by reply so amply spoken. 'Doubtless,' said I, 'what it utters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master whom unmercifully disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his song one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore, of never, nevermore.' But the raven still beguiling all my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled the cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking that this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly gaunt of ominous bird of yore, meant in croaking nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllables expressing, to the fowl whose fairy eyes now burn into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamp's light gloated o'er, but whom's velvet violet lining with the lamp light glowed o'er. She shall press, oh, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim, whose footfalls tinkled on the tuffled floor. Wrench, I cried, thou God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, respite. Respite and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still if bird or devil, whether tempter sent or whether tempters tossed thee here ashore, desolate yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horrors haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still if bird or devil, by the heavens that bend above us, by the God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aidenn it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom's the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked, upstarting. Get thee back into the tempest of the night Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of thy lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form off my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting, and the pale bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all the seeing of the demons that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming towards his shadow on the floor, and my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore.